Welcome to Sacred Dive with me, Evangeline. So I thought I'd start doing daily talks from here in my living room. Short ones, but just something as an offertory during this time of great turmoil and potential growth. You might see my cat's tail twitching here. He's joining us. His name's Bonsai. He's a good boy. So I think today I'd like to talk about fear. Of course, this is a huge topic. But fear, as a colleague of mine, a colleague in meditation of mine was pointing out, fear can be an incredible portal into the spiritual dimension. And as an earth, we are experiencing fear and panic. Not everyone, but it's just a energy that's really present right now, really brought to the surface. And of course, fear can push us towards more unconsciousness, or it can be used as a catch to catch us and propel us towards further inner work, inner knowing. And so I think we have there's a lot of people out there that have the opportunity to use this fear, use this uncertainty, maybe even panic for sort of dissolving unconsciousness within themselves. About, I don't know how many years ago it was now, maybe 6, I was running a fairly big vegetable CSA and alone, and I had 2 little kids. I was single at that time. And without the whole story, I started feeling in the spring, right as all the crops were really coming into fruition, maybe late May, I started feeling these waves of terror. It was financially based. Like that was the trigger, was this fear that the money was just going to end in August, and I would have all these beautiful crops and no way to pay my employees, no way to harvest the food and give it to all the shareholders that had already bought the produce. And I mean, these waves, any of you who are women out there who've had childbirth, who've had babies, the fear waves actually came in much like contractions. I would be going about my day, and then, here would come this wave of, in me, I experienced it as terror that like kind of circled through here and plummeted out through my perineum, out through my root chakra, basically. And it was incapacitating. It was so scary. Like I would, it would be such an intense wave. I would actually have to grab a chair or sit down, lest I fall. And at night they were waking me up as well. And it was so powerful, like coming so powerfully for a couple of days, that at a certain point I realized I can't function, right? The farm took a lot of work and I had employees, etc. And I just was like not functional. And so what I did was I told my employees what was going on. They were really I don't know, they could hear that. I gave them a list and I just told them, you know what, I'm going to be on my front porch. I'm just going to sit on my front porch and invite this fear to come in all day long, for as many days as I need to do it. And I actually did that. That's exactly what I did. I sat on the front porch. It was nice out at that point. And basically I would meditate. And then I would feel like this terror come through. And very visceral. I felt it very physically. And just like childbirth, instead of resisting that fear, I I ushered it in. I invited it to be more present, to be not to be more present, but I invited the full extent of it to come. And then I would just breathe and pay attention to how it felt. Basically being with it, being present with it. And I got to really know the way it felt in my body, and I got to see the peels of thoughts that would just like sizzle off of it in terror and sort of take over my mind. And so they happen, I don't know, maybe every 15 minutes or so. And then I would meditate, and they'd come again. And that first day was fairly intense. It didn't really mitigate much. I did get much more used to the feeling of it. And then the second day, I did the same thing. And by the second day, it was starting to they were starting to, just the waves of them would be less intense. And I was starting to have some ideas about how to make money for the farm. And by the third day, I kid you not, it was just the smallest little wave would come. And, still I would be inviting them, welcoming that, however it would show up to be there. But by the end of the third day, they were gone, and I had actually had so many inspirations of how to make money, and I had used that day to just call, different contacts. And so by the end of that day, I had a plan for the rest of the year that actually, I didn't really know at that point if it would actually work, but it did. The year finished out well. And, in that fear, in retrospect, I think there was a real purging, a real purging of like a materially, physically based, a fear of just basic physical home money safety. And somehow that just got purged with those 3 days on the porch. And I tell you this because, I think it's a really good story, and it's a good story about how this can actually work. So that's my offering for today. And I still get afraid, but it's different now. Okay. Thank you. My love to you.